If you're part of the furniture of this channel, you'll know that I am a massive lover of film photography. Film photography and film cameras have really pushed me to become a better photographer, and it is a medium I will continue to come back to again and again. Being a consumer of film photography on YouTube as well, it seems like there's been a lull in fresh film photography content. By chance I stumbled across a listing for a camera, purchased it, used it, and it may have sparked a new interest in delving into some digital photography once again. This camera is the Fujifilm X-T10. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Deo. If you're new here, I like to make videos about photography and just make videos about documenting my life here and there. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Fujifilm X-T10. This camera here sort of sparked a new interest in digital photography again, which is a bit kind of strange in the fact that film photography was sort of the thing that people were coming back to. For myself now, I'm coming back to digital. Similar to how the Canon AE1 was my introduction to film photography, this Fujifilm X-T10 is sort of my reintroduction into digital photography. It's been very refreshing shooting with a digital camera, and this camera here has a lot of features and benefits that I'd love to share with you today. The camera itself wasn't really on my radar. I honestly had no idea it even existed before I found the listing for it on Marketplace. It was listed for an absolute steal, $500 with the kit lens, this 18 to 55mm f2.8 to f4 kit lens. It was listed $500. I messaged the seller. He was very close to my house, so I went there that evening and picked it up. $500 for an X-T10, I'm pretty happy with. I just hope that the charger that he has is a proprietary charger. Otherwise, we got a new toy. You can barely see me. This is such a bad camera in the dark. Let's go get it. All right, I'm gonna shove you in my pocket. Hey.
How you going?
Good, good. Thanks for the time today, man.
No worries.
Really appreciate it. This looks really good, bro.
Yeah.
You just don't use it?
No. Good condition.
Very, very good condition, man.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I just turn on?
Yeah.
Make sure it work. Yeah, very nice. Awesome, bro. Let's do it. I got the cash in my pocket.
No worries.
Let's go. $500 X-T10. So a little bit about the camera. I'm not a huge spec guy, so if you're looking for specs, probably not the right video for you. But this camera was made in 2015. That's a whole decade ago. I feel old saying that as well. But yeah, 2015 this camera was made. It's got an APS-C sensor, so it's a crop sensor. And it's got the famous Fujifilm X-Trans sensor. Now that sounds like a whole bunch of nonsense for people who aren't super into photography or those pixel peepers out there, but the characteristics from the Fujifilm X-Trans sensor, you get a lot of smooth colors, but they're also strong. It's kind of hard to describe, but if you see the photos, you'll kind of understand as well. There is a huge cult following for these sensors. So this one here, it has the Fujifilm X-Trans CMOS 2 sensor. It was the same sensor that they used on one of their flagship models at the time, the X-T1. So yeah, this camera's got an awesome mirrorless sensor. And it was quite familiar for me because I am actually a Fujifilm shooter. I'm shooting this video on a Fujifilm X-T4, and that one's got a X-Trans sensor as well. I'm very familiar with the characteristics of what this camera can achieve. One of the big attractive points for using the Fujifilm system, and sort of what made them pop off a couple years back, was the fact that you can use film simulations within the camera. So what a film simulation is essentially a filter that you'll apply to the image before you take the photo. Being able to do this allows you to cut back on some of the editing time that you might have in your post-production work, because you can just apply the filter before you take the photo. The small APS-C sensor on this camera allows you to have a smaller body, which is a very big deal for people who are looking to do maybe some street photography and just keep this camera on you more rather than in a camera bag. Portability is something that you should definitely consider when you're looking at buying a camera. One of the things that's really attracted me to this camera, and one of the big reasons why I felt confident in purchasing it, was the fact that you can use the Fujifilm X-mount lenses. These lenses for the APS-C bodies, they're all very cheap, but with cheap does not compromise quality. At home, I had the Fujifilm 23mm f2, which is an absolutely legendary lens within the Fujifilm system. I was able to just take off this kit lens and put that on there to make this setup even more lightweight. To test out the setup and test out the camera properly, I took it with me on a solo adventure out to Fitzroy Falls. The battery on my Sony camera has decided to stop working, so I'm vlogging on my phone. Yeah, let's see how this goes. I know I've been here once, or a number of times actually growing up. I'm just weary of leeches and that. Never had a leech. I don't feel like it's leech season because it's still like just ending winter, going into spring. Not quite leech season, I don't think, but let's see how we go. Let's go at a brisk pace so we don't lose too much time. Hopefully we've got a really nice view. See you in a sec. This is crazy, and I thought the last view was better. This is actually insane. Look at the amount of water coming off that rock face. And then if we just look over our shoulder this way, we get this spectacular view. So epic. Something about being in nature, it just brings out a bit of creativity in me. I think everybody needs to go out into nature quite regularly, just to kind of detox from screens. So much beauty just walking through the world, and it's completely free. Well, I paid $4 for parking, but it's free. I'm really enjoying shooting with my X-T10. Really handy and small. I don't know why I stopped shooting on my X-T4. I think that's because it's primarily become a video camera for this YouTube channel, but shooting with this feels familiar. The lens on this guy, like the 23mm f2 from Fuji, it's just goated. Like, if you own a Fuji camera, you need to own this lens because it just does everything so well. To further test out this camera's capability, I took it with me to Sydney to a work dinner and tested out some of the low light performance as well as the inbuilt flash on this system. One of my friends there who also enjoys photography, I let him play with this camera and I feel like I gave him the itch to try out the Fujifilm system after he was able to play with it. All right, so the Fujifilm X-T10, I have a couple of pros and cons that I'll go through. There are 7 big pros that I absolutely love about this camera. And the first one being the looks. The camera just looks great. The ergonomics is actually quite nice with the hand grip here. I've got the little wrist strap, so it is a really, really good way to just have the camera in your hand all the time. And since it is so lightweight, it's really not a bother holding this camera and just taking it up for a quick snap. So the next big thing that I love about this camera is the shutter sound. Now it sounds very arbitrary and sort of not really to the point of making a good photo, but the experience is something that I look for as well when I'm picking out cameras. Taking an image with this camera is just so satisfying because the shutter sound and the shutter feel through your hand is just so good. Listen to this. That is such a nice shutter sound. The size and the portability of this camera is also another big bonus to me. I'm leaning more towards portable cameras these days. You can find amazing picture takers in that they are cameras in small packages these days. You don't need to have massive DSLRs to take a good image that you can put on Instagram or share with the family. Leaning into smaller systems, this is definitely a smaller system. I don't know the exact weight, but it is incredibly light. You can hang it on your wrist and just keep it on you as an everyday carry very, very nicely, and it isn't very cumbersome at all. The colors that you can achieve and the film simulation capability within this camera is also a big bonus for me. Maybe I'm a bit biased because I shoot with Fujifilm systems anyway, but being able to do a bit of the work prior to an edit through film simulations and the colors that you can achieve from the Fujifilm X-Trans sensor, it just looks great and it's very appealing for a lot of people out there. Majority of people out there will enjoy the colors, and having the film simulations available at your fingertips allows you to enjoy your editing process too. No lengthy editing sessions needed for your JPEGs. While we're on the topic of specs, the autofocus capabilities in this camera are fast and accurate, which is very surprising and very nice to know that having a reliable autofocus system in what seems to be a very good point and shoot system is there. It goes to show just how great the technology is at our fingertips these days with the technology you can just go and buy at an electronics store. One of the things that's really ticking boxes for me these days is the built-in flash feature on some cameras. Cameras that have this feature, I'm really leaning towards. I really enjoy having the option to use a flash when I'm in scenarios that are dark, like dinners or parties. It just opens up an element of different photography that some people might not really explore. And the last thing that I've really enjoyed about this camera system, and I think is a really big plus for it, is the lens choice. They always say you should invest in good glass rather than new camera bodies anytime you get. The glass will outlast your camera body, and that is definitely the same case with this camera here. Now, not to say that the camera body is super dated, it is 10 years old, but it is still seemingly relevant with what it can do. But the lens choice on this system is going to go down as one of the best in history. The lineup of lenses with Fujifilm's X mount is just so wide, and all the glass is such great quality. You will not struggle to find a lens that will suit your shooting style for this camera. Now with the good, you've got to take the bad. There are a couple things to address here. So the first thing, this camera doesn't shoot in RAW. That can be a big deal for some photographers who really want to manipulate colors as much as they can. And this camera here only shoots in JPEG. The screen on this camera is also somewhat difficult to see in certain scenarios. I do love the fact that it is a tilty screen, so you can sort of use it as a waist level finder. But the technology back then, they just didn't pump it up with like an OLED or AMOLED screen, so seeing it in brighter environments can be quite tricky. Another thing to mention here is the low light capabilities on this camera isn't amazing. Even with the built-in flash, most likely you're gonna want your subjects to be stationary if you want a sharp image in low light. Having a bit of a motion blur and like light effects within your image could be a style that you're looking for, and that definitely happens with this system. But if you're looking for a sharp low light image, just know that you're gonna have to do a bit of work to get that done with this camera. And the last sort of big thing to mention within my cons list is the fact that there's no way to control the ISO through a dial. Physically, on my X-T4, there is a ISO dial and there is a way to manipulate the ISO without having to go through a menu. However, with this X-T10, you do have to open up the settings menu and scroll through it that way. Small inconvenience, but when I was looking to get the ISO changed within my camera when I was shooting with it, I had to go digging, and I found that to be quite jarring for a shooting experience. So overall, my final thoughts on the Fujifilm X-T10, there's a lot to go through, and I think we start off with the camera as itself. This camera is definitely more focused as a no-frills, photographer-focused camera. It does have video capability, but it's honestly not even worth talking about the video capability much on this, as the features on this camera are more toward the photographer. The built-in flash allows you to take it to your darker environments. The APS-C sensor allows it to be a lightweight carry, makes it a perfect contender to be an everyday carry. And the X-mount lenses Fujifilm offers gives you an amazing choice of glass that'll allow you to shoot this in many different ways, whether you want to do street photography, do some landscape with a wider angle lens, or slap on a lens that'll just do everything you need to do. The lack of dual SD card slots and the lack of RAW photos is definitely easily overlooked because this camera isn't trying to be a professional camera. This camera is something that is designed more to be on your body all the time, shoot some film simulated JPEGs, and then just have fun with photography while you're out and about. It's lightweight, it's compact, it looks great, and you will definitely enjoy taking photos on this camera. To a really nice point and shoot SLR category, which is quite unique. I don't really know many other cameras that will do this as well as this. So if you're an enthusiast who's looking to try out the Fujifilm system, or you're just a photographer who's looking to find an attractive, portable, everyday carry, this camera is something I would definitely consider, the Fujifilm X-T10. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. It's been a while since I've been able to sit down and talk to you about a piece of gear that I've been shooting with. I'm sorry about last week's missed upload. I was off on a holiday. I think it's definitely well deserved to recharge the batteries and hopefully produce some better content for you moving forward. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'm curious to hear whether you guys have had any experience with a Fujifilm mirrorless system and what your thoughts are on them down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Peace.